Hello there. Welcome to the client server model webinar. Um, Today I will be covering some of the key tips of client server models and some ways you can use the client server model to your advantage. So I'm going to cover how the client server model works and how to use remote events and functions to make the client and server connect together. Let's get started. Uh, let's go. Yep. All right. First things first, we are going to talk about the client server model or architecture. So, what is it? So, Roblox uses a client server model. That sounds pretty fancy, but it's really not fancy. It's a common framework for all multiplayer games. So, other multiplayer games such as GTA 5 Online, Minecraft, Call of Duty, Animal Crossing, you name it, also use client servers because it's such a reliable framework. So whenever you play a Roblox game, your personal computer, phone, tablet, all of that becomes a client. So you are the client. Every other player in the game is also a client. So all clients in the game are connected to a powerful Roblox computer known as a server. The server is in Roblox's headquarters and it can store up a lot of information. So that's when you or other players talk about joining a server, that's what they mean. So a client joining a server. So yeah, like what I said, the server is like a game manager and make sure that every player is seeing and experiencing the game world the same as every other player. So there's no consistencies, flaws, which we will talk later with exploiters. All right. So during the gameplay, the server is constantly updating the clients. For instance, imagine a game script that changes the time of the day to midnight. A script can only run in the server, which we'll talk about later, so the server is the first place to see the day turn to night. At that point, the server automatically tells all the clients to change their game time as well. So everybody will see it's nighttime. Now, clients can also talk to a server. This is when you press a key or a button on your computer, and it will send a signal to the server updating something in the server. For example, money on the leaderboard. We'll talk about that later. All right, now there's two types of scripts in concerning with clients and servers. So one is the local script, and that is for clients only. And the second one is just called script, and that's for servers only. So local scripts are uh, parented to the player or the client. So when a player clicks a button, for example, a local script detects that the button is clicked and then sends a signal to the server, which is handled by a script. More on that later. That's a remote event, and we'll talk about that later. Yeah. So, these are all the folders that are basically descendants of the local script. So you can put like the local script within in every single one of these folders. Any other folder will possibly break the game. So first of all, a player's character makes sense. A player's GUI also makes sense. Player's inventory, player scripts, that's for local scripts only, and a tool only when equipped by the player, and the replicated first folder, which is a special folder that we'll talk about later when we get to remote events. All right, now onto the scripts. They replicate to all clients. For example, if a script changes the time to midnight, of course, all player screens will turn night, not just one player. So, uh, all possible descendants of a script are in the workspace. Makes sense because there's parts and everybody can see the parts. Server script service and a player's backpack. That's only when a tool is being used. For example, when a player kills another player, the server makes sure that other player is dead and not alive. All right. So that's pretty much the it for the client server model. And now we are going to go and talk about remote events and functions. So why is remote events and functions useful? So first of all, when I look at a general design of the game, I tend to look at how exploit proof the game is. For the past few years, exploiting is a problem, And exploiters are getting smarter and smarter every day, making complicated scripts. Roblox has also been adapting to this new exploiting thing, and they have their own method in helping with the cause. So one way that game developers can help with their own game not getting exploited is by putting all the logic into server-side scripts. So remember this phrase: we never trust clients to handle with anything server-side. So that's basically the main idea of this slide, because look at the diagram. So this is a good practice. We have a local script that detects a player pressing a button and sends it through a remote event. It enters through the script, and the script checks if the player has enough money or not. If you put the logic into the local script, like exploit might be injected into the local script, tricking the local script into saying, "Oh, well, the player does have enough money," and then the script automatically gives the player the item because it trusts the local script. We shouldn't do that here because exploiters exist, and so we always put replicated logic into the server script. All right, remote events versus functions. Now, these two often get confused, but they're pretty similar to each other. But one key difference: a remote event is designed for one-way communication, and a remote function is designed for two-way communication. So, remote events, one-way trip, and remote functions, a round trip. Basically, that's how you should think of it. Uh, remote event is this. Okay, so we have the remote event can go from a client to a server, server back to a client, or server to all clients, or client to client. A remote function can go from a client to a server back to the client, and a server to a client back to the server. This is discouraged, and I'll tell you why. So why is it bad? Well, we never trust clients to do anything with our game because of exploits. So when a server wants to get a request from the client, exploiter might be waiting on the other side on the client, and while the server is requesting to the client and the client is going back to the server, the exploit might go on the patched remote event and get sent through the remote event to the server. So if that happens, three things will also happen. So if a client notices something's wrong, the server will also notice something is wrong because they're connected. If a client disconnects, the invoked client will call an error, and the server will also throw an error. And the baddest thing is, if a client never returns a value, the server will hang forever, resulting in a game crash. And nobody everybody knows that game crashes are bad for the general economy of your game. So exploiters take advantage of game crashing. There's a bunch of scripts out there. Roblox is trying to handle these basically game crashing exploits with a thing they implemented a few years back. So that's filtering enabled. So filtering enabled is basically Roblox's response to exploiting. So when it's enabled, changes made by the clients will not replicate to the server. So basically, if you have an exploiter that's flying with filtering enabled on, other players will see him or her still on the ground. Only he or she will see him or herself in the air. So this means that whatever the exploiter is doing, it's limited to their little world and not the whole server. So if the exploiters want to like hack or like mine your data for a server, they can't because they can only replicate to themselves, which serves no point. All right, that's it for the PowerPoint. Next, we are going to get our hands dirty by actually taking a look at how remotes and functions can be scripted and implemented into your game. All right, everyone, welcome back. This is the second part of the webinar, and we are going to get our hands dirty by scripting with remote events and functions. So right now, I am in Roblox Studio, and all I did is add a text button into the player starter GUI here, and it just demonstrates the relationship between the client and the server. So that's pretty much all I did. And yeah, let's demonstrate this remote event here and how it communicates between the client and the server. So we usually put our remote events in the replicated storage section here because this is the most safe spot for the remote event as it guarantees for the remote event to work. So let's just go to replicated storage and let's add this remote event here. All right. Now, we're going to create two types of scripts. If you remember on part one, we classified the difference between local script and server script. So we're going to add a server script within a server script service, and we are just going to basically print a message out when a player fires the event, which I'll show you later. But first of all, let's tell the game where the remote event is. So that's going to be in replicated storage and remote event, just like that. All right, next, let's define our function in which the event will fire upon. So in our case, we'll just print a simple message. So let's call it print message, MSG, and I'll take parameters player and the message, like so. So this is just basic function definition. We have very easy. We'll just basically print the player name, player dot name dot concatenation, and basically we'll say player name said, and we'll concatenate it with the message. So basically, if player one said hello, it will say player one said hello. And if player two said goodbye, it will say player two said goodbye. So pretty simple right now. And that's all the function there is. Now we are going to connect the function to, this is the new part here. So let's exit out of this function here. And we will do remote event. And there's a function here that calls on, wait, yeah, so on server event is a function of remote event, and that's basically when the server receives the event, it will start running this function, which is the print message function. So that's connect, basically what connect means. And literally that's it for the server script. Now let's head over to the text button and let's add the local script in the text button. Again, local script because that's now dealing with the player. So this is really just one line of code. So we can, or two lines if you want to make it clearer. I'll just do two lines. So we'll assign the so the text button will be the script's parent, which is right here. All right, and now text button dot activated. So basically, when the text button is activated, it'll connect a function here that takes in that takes in the one thing I forgot to do. We'll also have to point where the remote event is. So that will be game dot replicated storage dot remote event. All right. So when the text button is activated or clicked, it will use remote event, and we'll use the we will use the fire server. So fire server, fire server function, and we will tell the parameters. So as you can see, it says player and message. So we don't need the player because it's already in local script. So let's type our message in. So let's just say player 2 said hello. So now when I press the button, it will say hello, or like player name said hello. So let's test that. And right now I can't test it with one person since it must be 2 people. So luckily Roblox has a function for that. And you go to test and you start this server thing, and it will start with a server and 2 players. So let's just wait for it to boot up. It takes a long time. No, right now it's booting up the server outlined by the green bar here, like so. So this is what the server sees. And let's wait. There are the 2 clients pop up. All right, so we have 2 people or clients connected to one server. So this is the server, and have our client spawned in? Nope, not yet. But yep, this is the server. So this is what the server sees, the powerful Roblox computer. Oh, there they are, they spawned in. Now just give that a second to load. Let's load. All right. I don't know what's point one. Oh, and these are the 2 clients. There we go. So we have player 1 and player 2. So if I click this button here, it will say player 1 has spoken hello. So let's click this button. All right. Now let's go to the server, and we'll look at that. The output, it says player 1 said hello. Now if we go to player 2 here, we click, and then we go back to the server, and it says player 2 said hello. So another way to check this is to go to the developer console, which is up here. You go to settings, scroll down, and this developer console here, you click open. So right now, client, we have nothing. But on the server side, if you look, we click this, and look, it says player 1 said hello again. So that's what the server sees. And let's click this again, and player 2 said hello. So that's basically remote events. It allows the client to talk to the server, because if, in fact, let me demonstrate this. If I put the function in the box, it will only show up for the client. So let's clean up and let's in fact do that. So we'll wait until these. Okay, so this is in the server script right now. All right, let's change the local script so that, okay, let's copy this function here. But instead of connecting the function to fire the remote event, we connect print MSG. There we go. So like this. This way, only the client sees what they said. So let's play. Let's click start. So if we put it that way, the server won't know that the client has clicked the button because there's no remote event to fire at the server. So let's go. Okay, this is the server. Yeah, it takes a little long time to load. So let's just wait for it to happen. All right. This is the first client. I'm gonna wait until the second client to boot up. And voila. So we have the 2 clients. Come on, let's load. All right. So if I click this button, if you check the output here, where's our output here? Output here. Let's move this over here. So like that. If we check the output, it says, because this is, oh, I forgot to call in the parameters. So, but okay, so yeah, I just forgot to do this, but it's okay. This just proves the point that if we look at the output on player 2, you see nothing. But on player 1, it says input object set 0 because I didn't say it's empty. Yeah, so that's on me. But this goes to show that this is a local script. It only displays for player 1 and it doesn't display for player 2. neither does it display for the server. See, the server output is nothing. So yep. So yeah, I just forgot to assign parameters to this, so that's why it says input object says 0, because there's literally nothing in here. All right, that's basically it for remote events. Now this is from the client to the server. Now this can be reversed, and this can go from the server to the client. So let's delete. We don't need that anymore. We don't need this anymore. All right. Now we will have another type where the server is talking to the client. So it's just going to be a simple countdown timer using the output section here. So again, as always, let's assign our remote event. Tell the server where it is, replicated storage dot remote event. All right. Now we type local seconds remaining, and let's just say there's 5 seconds remaining in the countdown. Simple and sweet. All right, now let's just do a for loop for t equals seconds remaining, 1 and -1. Whoops. Do remote event fire. Whoops. Fire all clients, and t is the seconds remaining, and we'll wait 1 second, and then t updates again, and so on and so forth. So notice that this method changed, as it's not fire server but fire clients, because all clients will see the countdown now. Now we will go to and we'll go to the local script here. So the local script is, let's put it in starter player script, since short and sweet, we don't have to go scouring for it. Local script. All right, now we will again tell the script where the event is, game.replicateSource.remote. All right, and let's create a function. So let's call it display time, and the seconds is its parameter, and it will literally just print seconds. Short and sweet. And let's actually receive the remote event. So remote event on client event, and we're going to connect it to hang on here. So that's what I was okay. So we'll connect it here to display time here. That's the problem. Not colon, but dot. There we go. And now once we play it, the server will start counting down, and on the client side, it will still also count down. The thing to note, if the output has a blue bar next to it, that means it's a client output. And if it has a green bar, it's a server output. Hence the green bar around the server, as you can see. And if you're playing on a client, it'll be a blue bar. So let's wait for it to load. If you look at this, look, you have a blue bar around it. So the server will start initiating the countdown, and it will output on the client. So let's wait here for a second for it to load. Did I do something wrong here? Nope. Just being buggy. But the output should display the countdown. I don't know what's wrong with that today, but if you try it on your device, mark my word, it will start printing out 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I think it might have already done it. Anyways, but that just shows how the server can connect to the client. And now we are going to take a look at remote functions. So let's do that. So within remote function here, let's change this. Gone. All right, remote function, just add that in, replicated storage. All right, and now, so remember, remote functions round trip. You start the client, you end at the client. Now we don't do server to client to server because I already discussed why that is a horrible thing to do, because the server will call error if a client accidentally hacks or something. So do not do that. So we're just gonna take a look at how a client can talk to the server and then the server responds back. So let's go. So on the server script here, we will create a part based on the client's request. So remote function equals game.replicated storage dot remote function here. All right, and now let's make a function that creates a part. Create part, and it will just tell you who created the part. So print player dot name. So player name requested a part. All right, and then now we will create a new part with the instance.new function like that, and it will spawn to the workspace. So new part dot parent, let's assign to the workspace, and return new part. All right, now let's bind it to the function. So new type of method here. So it's remote function dot on server invoke, and we will create part. That is the function up here. All right, that is it for the server side. Let's head on over to the local script. So local script will be in starter player scripts as always, and we'll again remote function equals game.replicated storage.remote. All right, now we will invoke the function and basically deflect it and send it back to the server. So we will local new part equals remote function invoke server and print the server. So what this is the server. The client is telling the server to create a part. Server creates the part here. Server tells the client the part is created, and it prints this out. So if this doesn't print out, that means something is wrong with the server and the part isn't created. So let's go. So if we join here, it should request the server to create a part, and on the output here, it should say that. We'll just wait until they join. And on the output, they should say that player name has requested to create a part. So let's get all in. And look on the output. So when the client joined, it told the server to create the part, and it looks like the server created the requested part. Now I don't see it. It's probably here somewhere. But let's go over to the server, and it says player 1 requested a part, and player 2 requested a part. So both of them requested a part, which is the client sending to the server. Server did what the client said and told the client, okay, I created a part for you, and that's basically remote functions. It's a round trip. Again, client tells server to create a part. Server responds with, okay, they requested a part to be created. And now, second of all, the server sends back and says, okay, I created a part for you. So that is a round trip between client to server to client. Now, again, we don't do server to server because if something messes up in the client section, the server will potentially crash. So let's remove all of that. That's pretty much it for this webinar. If you enjoyed this, please leave a like. I will do more webinars in the upcoming weeks. And hopefully today you learn how the client-server model architecture worked, how remote functions and events work, and you got your hands dirty by actually scripting with remote events and functions and seeing how they interplay together within the game. Hope you enjoyed this. Again, thanks for watching. Until next time.